Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Genshin Impact lore reading stream, and I decided to take this next reading session to the Chasm for a very specific reason, and that is because we are going to be reading the lore on all things Millelith related. For those of you who don't know, I have a deep respect for the Millelith and the sacrifices that they make as the shields of this region. Despite not having visions, despite not having god-level powers or adepto-level powers, the fact that they put their life on the line to defend the common man and woman of this region just shows a level of camaraderie that I think is not really present in any other nation, right? Like, even Mondstadt has the Knights of Favonius. Some of them slack off, some of them drink too much, some of them are carefree, some of them are derelict in their duties, but like the Millelith are like the golden standard of what it means to serve the people, and to the point where we are at a Millelith monument here in the Chasm from what we experienced during version 2.6 of the Millelith who stood guard, stood alongside Bosacius, stood alongside Rex Lapis, fought against the Calamity, and died in the line of duty. I actually still have and possess all of the five-star artifacts that you get here when you come to this monument after collecting all of the collectibles tied to the history of the Millelith. You have these 5 4-piece artifacts for the Tenacity of the Millelith set, and it's these right here. These 5 right here I've had in my inventory locked as like keepsake memento items of this questline when we were here during version 2.6. Bad artifact, substats, bad main stats at that. Technically, it's an HP set, so this one's kind of good. You know, this one's healing bonus. I don't know how that would fare, but it has HP on it, so that's kind of good for it too. But I decided to keep these as well as just like a keepsake. Obviously, you see here, they have like the armor, the little pottery, and the stone monuments. And then over here, this is actually where you get the artifacts. With the grave right here, the monument grave that symbolizes the sacrifice that they made with their weapons and stuff. All this stuff is just untouched, preserved as a show and as a sign of respect. So, yeah, decided no better place to go to than here to talk about the Millelith. And I'm actually gonna be up top with the actual monument. And then we also have Wong here, who is addressed and talked about the Millelith time and time. Oh, great Millelith heroes, please see it that the Chasm does not act up these few days. And may we be safe and sound as we descend into the mines this time, and may those comrades of ours who no longer come to mine also fare well with their respective paths. Protect us, brave Millelith. Protect us. So this guy's just paying his dues, paying his respects, and yeah, so we are going to be getting into Millelith lore. We're going to be getting into the black and white tassels, actually. So, white tassel, a standard issue weapon of the Millelith soldiers. It has a sturdy shaft and sharp spearhead. It's a reliable weapon. The Millelith soldiers are renowned the world over for their skilled use of polearm weapons. The signature white tasseled halberd they wield is mass-produced at the Blackcliff Forge. It is a weapon that has stood the test of countless bloodied battles over centuries of history. Even for when the smoke of the battlefield stained the tassel a murky shade of gray, it would wave proudly and defiantly like a flag in the wind. The army once had in its ranks a legendary master of the polearm. He could hit his target from miles away without staining its tassel. The legend is that of this polearm's bearer, not the polearm itself, which is entirely ordinary. The old smith smacked his apprentice. He demanded a white tassel for a newly made polearm. Nice. I like that little passage. Just, again, showing respect to the Millelith, one of the many weapons they used out there in duty. Black tassel, an exceptionally powerful polearm that also offers a simple but elegant solution to the issue of the easily stained white tassel. Also, this is the weapon that I use for Zhongli to maximize his health at 56,000 damage. Builds on HP. Also, the ascended version of this looks so fucking sick. I love, like, the golden blue. This is actually a weapon made for the Millelith, actually. It kind of, like, matches their aesthetic. One night, a Millelith officer drank with a poet and brought his signature white-tasseled halberd with him. The poet's ink was spilled, and the halberd's white tassel was dyed black. 'Tis but a tale of polearm wielder and poet, unrelated to mine own black-tasseled polearm. The old smith smacked his apprentice. He demanded that he dyed the lightly made polearm's tassel black. Damn. He's like, all right, we gotta keep up with the trends there, okay? They want white tassels, we make white tassels. They want black tassels, we make black tassels, damn it. Next up, we have the Lithic Spear. I also love that we're getting into like all the polearms because that's like the weapon of Liyue overall. Okay, let's see. A spear forged from the rocks of the Guyun Stone Forest. Its hardness knows no equal. A weapon favored by the Millelith of yore. Made from a lith of the Guyun Stone Forest, said to be able to pierce even through dragon scales. Its great weight prevents the Millelith of today from wielding. Oh, damn. Okay, so this weapon was made for like the GIGACHAD Milleliths who were like freaking buff and could like wield great weighted polearms. So it says the great weight prevents the Milleliths of today from wielding it, which means the Millelith of yore must have been like yoked GIGACHADs who were just like buff as hell. In ancient times, the Millelith would conduct themselves in Rex Lapis's name according to this axiom. While rock stands hard, the mountain shall never fail. While the Millelith stands guard, evil shall never prevail. Such a fucking goated saying, by the way. In the past, they went forth to subdue demons and protect the roads and the countryside. In these peaceful times, their duties have shifted to maintaining order. At a certain point in the past, the earth did shake and the mountains did tremble. Then, the Millelith gave out equipments left over from the ancient wars of those among them who were of unusually great stature. They were the incredibly weighty lithic spears, and they were used as shoveling tools to rescue the injured. The lithic spear pierces through rock with ease. If 1,000 such spears could be lined up in formation today, none could stand before them. Yet, in an even earlier era, when the world was in yet deeper turmoil, every soldier in the Millelith could wield these colossal weapons. Thus, they were able to protect Rex Lapis's kingdom and defend their homeland. With 1,000 lithic spears lined up in formation, no evil could prevail against them. Oh my god. The lithic spear single-handedly defended Liyue from the GIGACHAD era of the Millelith. Damn. And then as peaceful times came upon us, they were like, yeah, we don't need to go this hard anymore. Let's reduce this to actual shovelware. Like, it's actually used to shovel now, which is funny. But damn, Liyue was not to be fucked with back in the day, essentially. Oh my god. If that's what the Lithic Spear did, imagine the freaking GIGACHAD Lithic Blade. Oh my, look at this behemoth. A great sword carved and chiseled from the very bedrock of Liyue. A weapon favored by the Millelith of yore, carved from the divine bedrock upon which Liyue Harbor was established. It is incomparably heavy. No ordinary human could lift this blade, unless your name is Shenhe, of course, which even then she wouldn't because she's a polearm user, let alone wield it in battle. And yet record states that the Millelith of old could use it with ease. Bro, I feel like every Millelith just looked like Bosacious. Like, absolutely rock hard abs, like freaking chiseled to the nines. Like, actual GIGACHAD. You know what the Sigma emote looks like? The big buff guy? Like, I feel like that's what all of the Millelith looked like back in the day. I feel like that was literally the Millelith back in the day. The Millelith was an organization first founded on the initiative of the followers of Rex Lapis. Its history can be traced to when the port city was first completed. Under Rex Lapis and Liyue's banner they march, and they would never desert it, whether in advance or retreat. While rock stands guard, the mountain shall never fail. While the Millelith stands guard, evil shall never prevail. The Millelith warriors adhered without fail to this code, and for it they would die without regrets. They follow in Rex Lapis's footsteps for the better of their abilities, slaying monsters, protecting the citizenry, and keeping the peace in Liyue. The Millelith made its name not in slaughter, but in defense, using their own bodies to shield their freaking homeland. That is so goated, man. I love the Millelith so much. They're so fucking awesome. This great sword of unmatched weight and hardness mirrored the duty and the will of Liyue's guardians. Xing and Han, two members of this armed force who first carved stone into swords. Oh, these are like the first, are these like the first forgers? Xing and Han? Two members of the Millelith armed forces who first carved stone into swords must have known in their hearts that in the future, those who had the strength to use these stone swords would grow few. But this also meant that the world would be at peace, and neither guardians nor swords would be needed anymore. Let's go, dude. Holy shit, that is so sick. That actually makes a lot of sense, too. You would think, like, I guess initially you would think, oh man, the Millelith nowadays can't use the lithic spear and the lithic blade like the GIGACHADs of the past. The difference is those people had to fight in order to survive, whereas now we're in a time of peace. You don't need to go that gung-ho. You know, you're pretty much reduced to just like, my cat's stuck in a tree and stuff like that. But, you know, if there's a Calamity 2.0, you bet your ass the Millelith are gonna whip these out and get in a shape, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I just think this is such cool, rich history and lore for the Millelith, that they've been around for just as long as Liyue has existed, in different iterations, in different permutations, in different phases, I would say. Like, they were actually like war-torn protectors back in the day. They still are now, but like for the common child and old grandma, you know, which is, I don't know. I just love how they're still standing guard even to this day, defending Liyue. Shout out to Zhongli for putting together an incredible organization. All right, now we're gonna get into their artifact set, Tenacity of the Millelith. Flower of Accolades, a flower made from gold leaf. It represents the glories and honors attained by its wearer. In an age when solemn songs were sung from the cliff tops, a meteorite once fell into the chasm. Meteorite, I'm sure, aka a celestial nail. Out of the depths of the boundless night sky above, the iron meteorite plummeted to the ground, turning the earth to glazed sand crystal on impact. Though human flesh was fleeting, Rex Lapis personally ordered the Millelith to rush to the defense of the mines, so it's reaccounting the lore that we experienced in 2.6. As the abyss flooded forth, dude, the Millelith stood guard against the abyss. Average, everyday Joe's human being stood against the abyss, and you're telling me these people are not goated for all time? As the abyss flooded forth, the Millelith escorted countless civilians to safety. Miners tell tales of the small number of troops from the rear guard who remained in the chasm. Together with the nameless Yaksha, shout out to you Bosacious, 2.6, they fought courageously until they actually 2.7, now that I think about it, the Archon Quest interlude chapter. Together with the nameless Yaksha, they fought courageously until they too made the ultimate sacrifice amidst the jagged rocks. In time, the names of both mortals and Adepti alike were forgotten. In time, even the mountains and rivers changed form. Yet, there will never come a time when their honorable deeds shall be forgotten. Like this gold-leafed flower, they shall shine on forever. 500 years on, the harbor city remains as steadfastly peaceful today as the day the disaster was quelled. And still, the troops wear this golden flower with pride, in honor of the sacrifices made by their forebearers. There's not enough good things I can say about the Millelith. Like, they are the golden standard. If your nation isn't defended by Millelith-like tenacity, I don't know what to say about you. Like, your nation's actually in peril right now. Your nation's actually lacking. When Celestia and the Abyss show up again in Endgame, you better be ready. Liyue is the only nation that I'm like, they got this. Mondstadt, I don't know. You guys are drinking a little too much. Inazuma, y'all gotta get your Raiden Gokuden shit together, you know, after everything that's happened. I don't know about the other nations. Maybe Natlin will be fine. Those people love fighting. You know, it's a nation of war. But what I love the most about the Millelith is that they don't fight. They're not the aggressors. They are defenders. And that's what I love the most about them. I'm a support by nature. Whenever I play video games, I'm the support main. I'm the tank. I am not the one dealing damage. I'm the one protecting my teammates. I'm the one healing my teammates. I'm the one buffing my teammates. That's a role that I've played my entire life throughout all video games that have class-based systems like that, where you can either be damage dealer, burst damage, whatever the case, especially for like League of Legends, Overwatch, etc. That's the role that I play. Like, honestly, if I was in Genshin, if I was like thrown into this world, I would want to be a Millelith soldier. I actually think I would want to be a Millelith soldier. I think that's the role that I would execute the best. Is just defending and serving others. Ah, man, I love the Millelith so much. They're such freaking alphas. All right, next up, Orichalcus Time Dial. A simple device for telling time. This was once standard issue for the Millelith during times of war. A hardy timepiece powered by sunlight and moonlight. Oh my, stop! God damn it. Powered by sunlight and moonlight, capable of capturing rays of light even in the darkest of days. When Liyue was threatened by a pitch black malice, this time dial helped the soldiers to remember the warmth of the sun. In the course of fighting side by side with the Yaksha, these mortal soldiers could not escape being contaminated by karma or harmed during the slaughtering. That's another thing too, a lot of them fell to Taragami, to the Abyss. Dude, literally made the ultimate sacrifice along with Bosacius. To avoid being consumed by the darkness, they fucking sealed themselves in the chasm too. They were like, we're tainted, we're corrupt, we can't leave, we gotta die in here. To avoid being consumed by the darkness of constantly killing, the Millelith soldiers used this timepiece to silently mark the passage of time during each battle. They fixed a unified marching pace and schedule so that one squadron of mortal soldiers could take the battlefield as the one before them retreated. This cycle of advance and retreat continued all the way to the depths of the chasm, where Yaksha and valiant soldiers both fell. 100 years later, this timepiece was unearthed by a miner. Its bronze surface sparkled in the bright starlight. Urban legend tells of a collector of curios. Wait, hold on. Wearing black robes. Oh, okay, I thought that was Libin they were talking about. Urban legends tell of a collector of curios wearing black robes who roamed the market streets one day, buying up Orichalcus time dials and paying a generous sum for each one. I wonder if that's Zhongli. I wonder if that's Zhongli buying up the time dials of those who died in the war. Some sellers queried him, curious to know what his reasons were, but he deftly deflected all their questions with an array of excuses and other verbal tricks. As for what this individual's true motives was, perhaps only the unyielding forward march of time could finally deliver a satisfying explanation. I wonder if that was Zhongli, because he has money. He's got money to blow, you know what I mean? He's like, put it on the Wangsheng funeral parlors tab, you know what I mean? And he goes around getting all of the time dials of his fallen soldiers who fought by his side during the cataclysm. And he probably like brings it back to where they fell in battle. Yeah, he wanted to bury them properly. Yeah. That's my headcanon at least. I can't imagine it being anybody else. Especially since the tale of and it was 100 years later too. So 100 years after the fact. Who else but Zhongli would remember that event and continue to do something like that for them? Or Rex Lapis, I should say. Yeah, that's great. God, I love this lore so much. All right. Nobles pledging vessel. A golden cup used by the Millelith to take their oath. Still bears the lovely scent of wine. When the Millelith was first founded, Liyue was still a savage and dangerous place. The elders of towns, villages, and tribes would pledge oath of allegiance with a golden cup. As a show of loyalty to Rex Lapis and duty to their countrymen, they selected valiant soldiers from all regions. Those soldiers became known as the Millelith. They would go on to take up arms with the Yaksha in battle, fighting from the rear guard. They took drink from this golden cup. This was the final toast to the benevolent and majestic Lord of Geo. With their gaze fixed ahead of them, they stormed into the abyss. God, man, you guys were incredible. Hundreds of years later, a conceited adventurer received the cup from the depths of the chasm and washed away the imperfections. Miraculously, the cup remained whole and untarnished by the passage of time. The pitch dark of that subterranean realm had failed to remove its radiance. Yet more centuries passed. Eventually, the people of Liyue would tell the tale of an era of catastrophe and a nameless Yaksha. Tales of how heroes with dissipating heritages and different lands united under a single banner against the abyss. Inevitably, the tales would touch upon the cup and how the blood of those who went before remained clear and spotless as the day it was spilled. I love how this is written too. It's written so eloquently and like respectfully. I mean, not to say that any of the lore hasn't, but like this is a tale of sacrifice, and it's just great to think fondly on how these people gave their life for their country. Personally, I don't really know what that's like. You know, I've never served. Obviously, that's a huge sacrifice because you never know when things are going to get to the point where you go out for war. You don't know if you're going to come back alive or not, but like that's like to live a life like that is just like I have nothing but the utmost respect for those people, like in real life or in works of fiction. And like for like, it's crazy too, because like this lore is reinforcing to me like that active duty in real life too, like armed forces, military, you know, etc., etc. But yeah, I just really love how this is, how it paints a picture of the people of Liyue. Damn, man, I fucking love, like, dude, it's crazy. Like, if you were to tell me, hey, Arnold, which organized militia group from which region would you say you favor the most? The Knights of Favonius, the Millelith, the Raiden Gokid? I'd be like, bro, Millelith, get out of my face with that, all right? Millelith or don't talk to me anymore. Yeah, this is incredible. This is really great writing too. I already felt like I already kind of got a sense of this story from when we were here in version 2.6, but like reading it again, I kind of feel like how I felt back then too, like holy shit, the Millelith are actually like forever goated. Next up, Ceremonial War Plume. A falcon feather worn on ceremonial occasions. It displays the dignity and resolve of Liyue Harbor to the outside world. As a mark of military service, the Millelith use the feathers of high-altitude birds of prey to adorn their uniforms. That's so cool. These tail feathers are only worn on ceremonial occasions. They boost the morale of the citizenry and fill visiting outlanders with a sense of awe. Hey, right here, I'm one of them. It is said that in its inception, this ceremonial custom was inspired by the nameless inspired by Bosacius! It is said that this ceremonial custom was inspired by the nameless Yaksha. In the heat of battle, when the Yaksha was engaged in fierce combat with the Abyss, some of its plumage was stripped away. The feathers that fell to the ground were seen as a symbol of hope. In the end, the brave Yaksha and fearless citizenry would sink into the exhausted slumber of the dark lair of the enemy. Rex Lapis was moved by their sacrifice and observed a prolonged vow of silence amongst the low murmuring of the mountain stone. The people claim that the nameless Yaksha that defended the chasm was not, in fact, under the command of Rex Lapis. Indeed, they believe that it was an act of redemption from a long-standing sin, a pride paid for cowardice and dereliction of duty. Whatever the truth of the matter, the Yaksha that had once soared through celestial heights had now returned to a free existence amongst the clouds. As for the soldiers, trapped in eternal slumber in the depths of the chasm, their legend continues to evolve with the flow of time. God, like, I have nothing but respect for the writers of this game. Like, every passage I read of this is just like, I'm in awe, I'm in amazement. Maybe it's just maybe my bias is showing for the Millelith a little, but yeah, these motherfuckers literally jumped into the abyss with no regrets, fought the good fight, did what they could. To an extent, they helped out, right? Like, yeah, you know, we know the story of Bosacius and of the other Millelith soldiers and whatnot. And I don't know, it's just incredible. Like, I just feel more and more connected to the Millelith and to like these acts of sacrifice. The more I read. It's showing a little bit, but I'm not complaining. Yeah, you know what? They deserve my bias, okay? All right, and lastly, General's Ancient Helm. A splendorous helmet from ages past. Clean the dust away and it looks brand new once more. The commander who fought together with the nameless Yaksha fell in the line of duty, as did the handful of his compatriots who fought alongside him. To ensure that the afflicted citizens could safely escape, and to maintain their honor in the eyes of the Lord of Geo, the helmet-clad troops at the front lines took the lead, pointing their spears towards the abyss and charging into battle. Disaster arrived in the land of Glaze, and a horde of ancient foes came surging forth. At the order of Rex Lapis, the Yaksha fought a bloody battle against the warped creations of the abyss. The fight went on until the last drop of blood was soaked into the battlefield, and all that was impure had been cleansed. As the tide of the abyss receded, the glazed sands shone gloriously once more. But when the gloom that had filled the skies above the chasm had finally dissipated, the Yaksha disappeared without a trace. As for the general and his men who left their helmets on the battlefield, they rest there in peace forevermore. And they rest to this day. Damn! So fucking good. Rest in peace, you glorious kings. Oh, man. I'm so glad I came here to read these. I felt like it was so appropriate to do that, to do justice for the Millelith because of this, you know? Incredible. Thank you for your sacrifice, you gigachads of yore. Oh, man. I, like, have so much respect. Like, I feel like I love the chasm even more because of the Millelith's connection to it. I love the Millelith, by the way, if you couldn't tell already. Damn. Man, oh man. What a great organization of people. All right, we have one more artifact set to get through before we move on. This one actually ties a little bit, I think. It'll tie a little bit into the Nameless Yaksha who fought alongside those gigachads. The Vermilion Hereafter. Flowering Life. An ancient memento, it still looks as alive as the being that preserved it several centuries ago. Even the ancient Cinnabar Cliff was once home to lovely blossoming flowers. Even in the era when blackened blood flowed freely, they were not stained by even the smallest smudge of mud. When the Millelith stand guard, evil shall never prevail. Even should the enemy be dark demons, this would not change. The silent mountain people in the steel moon constructed their peaceful camp. O daughter of the cliffs of glazed sand crystal, weep not for me. I was born in the shade of Tianheng, and I fight to repay Rex Lapis's mercy. I entrust my life to the four-armed Yaksha. And, oh, wow. Yeah, the four-armed Yaksha. So I guess it was still referring to Bosacius back then, too. I entrust my life to the four-armed, because it usually says nameless Yaksha, but that actually gives a level of description to who, because, like, even up to this point, we didn't know which one of the Yakshas they were referring to. All we knew was that one of the 5 Yaksha, with the exception of Zhao, was the Yaksha that fought alongside. But now that it says 4, I mean, I guess it matters, too, because, like, one of these artifacts is literally the mask of Bosacius, so I guess that makes sense. But it's cool that they actually gave description to it, because we knew that the four-armed Yaksha, it said that, like, in the original 1.3 cutscene of Zhao's story quest, it mentions that, like, Bosacius had fell to darkness. That was the impression that they gave us of him, so yeah. I entrust my life to the four-armed Yaksha, and we shall go into the glowing depths. The shadowed road of the deepest pits we shall tread. We shall brave the stony crystal halls. We will face the defilement arising from the depths, the twisted beasts that dwell there. These horrors and their strangeness shall not put me to flight or fear. What an absolute freaking, what a badass. The night wind interrupted the Millelith soldier's words, causing him to be unable to finish what he had to say. He simply left this small flower to that young daughter of the mountain tribe as a memento, a ward against forgetting. The only thing I truly fear is to be lost and forgotten. Should ill fate dictate that I am to be buried in some nameless place, do not forget me. Damn. Oh, man. Yeah, that's heavy, you know? They say you truly die when you are forgotten. The first time you die is when you leave your body. The second time you die is when you become, when someone says your name for the last time, or you're forgotten at that point. So yeah, I understand that. Yeah, world forget me. Dude, it's a pain like no other, dude, to be forgotten. Next up, Solar Relic. An ancient timepiece with a mighty solid look. Its luster is produced by sand crystal. It is said that Rex Lapis was yet young. The sun was a chariot that raced across the earth. When the 3 sisters of the night sky were martyred in the calamity. Wait, what? Hold on. Nani? Wait a minute, is this a bit of lore? When the 3 sisters of the night sky were martyred in a calamity. Let me write that down. 3 sisters. Wait, that's not the Conria calamity, is it? The sun was a chariot that raced across the earth. That reminds me of the Dainichi Mikoshi, which is supposed to be like a reference to Helios, which is like the sun chariot. Let me see. Okay, 3 sisters, a calamity. Interesting. I'm sure I'll figure this out as I continue to read more of the lore. When the 3 sisters of the night sky were martyred in a calamity, the solar chariot fell into a deep gorge? Wait, the sun fell out? Wait, what the hell? The sun fell from the sky? The mountain people, taking it as a sign, repaired the device, allowing it to shine through the darkness again. And though it was returned to its constant westward cycle, a single piece would forever remain behind. When they moved to the city, they would grind their fragment into crystal and sell it to someone who knew its value. And though it was returned to its constant westward cycle, that's like the sunrise, sunset. The sun rises on the east, sets on the west. Interesting. So I'm pretty sure that's a bit of lore that I'll figure out over time. Hey, that's a joke, right? I mean, you can't trust these baseless fairy tales, can you? Oh, that's a fairy tale? Okay, that's actually true then. Bro, every fairy tale is true. Irminsul protection. Okay. The Three Sisters and a Calamity fairy tale is actually true. Thank you, Sumeru Archon Interlude Chapter. You forever changed how I view these stories. All right. Hey, that's just a joke, right? I mean, you can't trust these baseless fairy tales, can you? The merchants of Shenglu Hall had long left their obscurity and forgotten their past. Glittering sand crystal cannot easily be made into lacquerware, after all, nor is it suited to make luxury paints. According to the miners at the chasm, and mind you don't believe the story too readily either, this timepiece and sand crystal came from the Millelith 500 years ago. In the lightless abyss where light wrestled against darkness, even one with a Yaksha's might could not hold out for long. And all the more did the mortals need light to prevent them from getting lost in the steel curtains of devouring night. The Millelith thus collected glowing sand to light the way, and it just so happened to resemble the pale moonlight. This timepiece, for its part, told of the time they spent in the abyss, and served as proof that where they fell, others have come after to take up their duty. Wow. Oh, man. Okay, so there was a bit of a fairy tale lore in here regarding three sisters, a sun chariot, a calamity, a device being repaired that restored the sun cycle. So that's interesting. I gotta figure, I have to look more into the lore when I get further along. I'll keep that in mind. Wasn't expecting that in this. Next up, we got the goblet. Moment of the Pact. An old cup made of sand crystal. Its luster is somewhat undimmed by age. This place known as the Chasm has shone with a cinnabar luster since ancient times. The mountain miners and the metropolitan merchants still tell the legend of a Yaksha. People say that the lone traveler with 4 arms once came to the barren waste where the star fell, aka the celestial pillar. Hearing that this wandering figure's evil exorcising travels had now brought them hence, the tribespeople of the mountain came forward one after another. Guests from afar, please accept our wine and hear our plea. You may consider our aged spirits bitter and hard to swallow, a far cry from the sweet brews of Mount Tianheng that even Rex Lapis praises. But the heavens have graced us with stores of precious stones and marvelous jade, and we carve the jagged rocks for a living. Yeah, so the glazed stones that were created from the elemental nature of the celestial nail hitting into the chasm, and that celestial energy fusing with all the stuff here created that new material that they started harvesting for. Thanks to the grace of Rex Lapis, our lives are, while not ideal, at least free of terror. Yet things have changed, and a dark shadow is cast over the blessings we have received from the falling star. We do not have any precious gifts to present as a pledge, but still, we beg for your succor. Guests heard the elder's plea and silently drank every drop of that bitter wine. The guests promised nothing and did not chastise the mortals for their insolence, but simply turned east, disregarding all attempts to make them stay. As for what came after, all now know what happened, but the simple crystal sand wine cup that the guests shared with the tribal elders remained to this day as a testament to their pact. I see. I guess that's where Bosacius decided to, like, pledge his loyalties to protecting people, maybe? And then we all know what happened from there. Next up, Feather of Nascent Light. A dimly lustrous pinion steeped in strong memory. Legend has it that a hero once plucked an eagle's feather from atop the highest cliff of the chasm. It is also said that those who could accomplish such a deed earned the right to die alongside the Adepti, going to one's death willingly in defense of the people, a good cause indeed. Yet, if you think about it, it would be akin to a fish sinking into the deep pool. That's funny. Yet, if you think about it, it would be akin to a fish sinking in a deep pool or a bird plummeting into a forge. I may yet achieve my own desires, but we shall go unknown and ultimately unremembered. Mortals like us are like feathers swept up in a whirlwind, floating into the deep sky. Saving, defending, in the end, these are all pointless things void of meaning. These dark murmurings shook the hearts of those who would never make a name for themselves. But the battle was over in the end, and many a soldier would rest eternally in the cavernous depths. The freakish cries of the dark forces were also silenced like fading ripples. And though mortal spans are short, the land will forever remember. Oh my god. Dude, that's like the forest will remember vibe. The land will forever remember. That's Liyue's version. The land will forever remember, just like the forest will remember. Ah, so beautiful. And lastly, oh, okay, I got this mixed up. I was supposed to read the circlet and not the goblet, so I got that mixed up. But last one, Thundering Poise. This mask is said to have been made by the mountain people for a yaksha. It is of simple make, but its surface still shines brightly nonetheless. Tianshu once played host to a yaksha, four-armed and mighty. Ooh. He came to the chasm from afar, to the praise of the tribe. A feast they put forth for him, the abundance of food. Blade in hand, he entered the chasm, a disaster to still. Mighty as a demon, purple balefire shone in his eyes. The lightning pierced the deathly shadow, and the thunder dissolved the darkness. The cloud hid the abyss, moss stretching to devour the firmament. A loud wind howled, the cinnabar sweeping the darkness. The mountain ranges shook, and the gorges caved in. The depths cried out as they collapsed, and then all was silent. The dense clouds solidified sundown lights as the perching birds sang sadly. Do you not hear? The drums die in the north wind. The hero sank into the vortex. Have you not seen? The Yaksha's battle for the dawn. Alas, for a life so spent. Shout out the Millelith and the nameless Yaksha, which actually has a name, okay? Bosacious, who made the ultimate sacrifice for the people of Liyue. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite pieces of lore, I would say. Like, admittedly, like, truthfully and honestly, the lore and history of the Millelith is one of my favorite in Genshin, I would say. And, like, as a result of that, too, Bosacious's acts of sacrifice were reinforced for that as well. I just fucking love this. I love the game. I love the lore. I love the amount of detail and attention that was put into those passages. Every single one of them felt so well written. You know, they will never know who I am, but I really appreciate the writers and the people who put the time into building up the story that most people unfortunately won't be able to grasp or take the time to understand or learn or know. But I just hope that my videos do even if one person, even if a handful of people decide to check out the lore through these streams or through my YouTube videos when they get uploaded, that's like a dub for me. Because the more people that can appreciate the game the same way that I appreciate it, you know, despite however they might play, like, that's my one main hope and wish. I just wish more people appreciated the lore of the game, and the only way you can do that is if you put time into it. For me, at least, I love this. This was great. I'm really glad I came here too. It kind of all came together as I was reading it, but shout out to the Millelith, shout out to Bosacious. Alrighty.